So with that, welcome everyone to this magnificent event. Today, we have kind of like an exciting topic out here, and we're talking about the Puerto Rico Museum of Natural History and Conservation. So we're gonna know more about it. We're gonna have a brief presentation. We'll have some of the people involved behind this initiative joining us in a little bit. And one of the things that we ask is that, if you have any questions, to save them at the end of the presentation period. We'll have some time for questions and answers out here. And feel free to use the chat feature that we have out here to type in your questions out there. You can type them in Spanish or English or whatever it is that you can, what you prefer out here. So without further ado, I'm gonna let my presenters out here have them introduce themselves and tell us more about the museum and the initiative, and let's get the conversation started. So everyone, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the invitations. So Máximo.
Yes, my name is Máximo Torres. I am a strategic advisor for the Museo de Historia Natural y Conservación de Puerto Rico. Maribel Ramírez
Toledo. I'm a business entrepreneur. My basic is in energy, renewable energy. In Puerto Rico, we have our own business, but also I have a non-profit organization basics. So Máximo here is going to help me with the presentation, and we'll see.
Okay. So Maribel is the founder and president of the organization. We'll share some of the other members. Some of them will be able to join and participate in the Q&A. But basically, the Museo of Natural History, or Museo de Historia Natural y Conservación de Puerto Rico, was born over 10 years ago through the experience of our children. They were really into natural history, and we had the experience to take them to many museums, and at some point one of them, Isabel, was able to find fossils, and among those fossils, one of them resulted into a 29 million years old fossil that caused a lot of interest among the family to find more and to help these children understand more about our natural history. In the process, we found out that there's a lot of information about Puerto Rico that is not available to the public. We had this experience going to many museums, where in every state and in most of the country, you can find a natural history museum. And our kids were saying, oh, why don't we have a natural history museum in Puerto Rico? And that's how the whole initiative started, and soon to be, we'll keep the details on how the process is going and how we hope to complete this special project for Puerto Rico. So Maribel, an entrepreneur, she has a lot of experience leading a nonprofit organization and also an extensive background in the energy sector. So the Torres Ramirez family has been strongly involved in this initiative, and we have been able to be joined by tremendous great people like Jorge Velez Suarbe. He's a vice president and co-founder. He holds a degree in geology and paleontology. He's currently working at the National History Museum in California, in Los Angeles, California, and he should be joining in any time soon. We also have Dr. Hernan Santos, geology, and Dr. Hernan has been what we call the master for all of these geologists that are working in Puerto Rico and in many universities and many museums in the United States and other places in the Caribbean. Well, we just recently had one move to China. So it is quite interesting how a lot of the talent of Puerto Rico is contributing to natural history worldwide. And then we have Michael Gonzalez. Michael is a sociologist. I believe that you had the experience to be his student. And Michael is a key component of this organization. He has been strongly working to make the connection with academia and the government. So he's really an important player in this organization. But it's just not them. I will quickly show some of the members that are helping this organization. As I mentioned, Maribel, Jorge Vélez, Hernan, and Michael, but also Emilia Quiñones. She's a museologist, and she joined the group less than 2 months ago. So she brings another value to this organization. Heide Rachel she's an historian. And Eduardo Cruz is
He's graduated now.
he's graduated now. He's the one that is moving to move to China recently. Carlos Carrero, also a historian. And then we have Deborah Martorell, as pretty much everyone knows, she's a meteorologist working in Tele11. So she's also a key collaborator in the process. There's a lot of effort going on that will give some information about it. But in general, let me see if I can get this back. Yeah, our mission is to educate the visitors about the natural history of Puerto Rico, and the transformation from the perspective of mineral, rocks, fossils, and all the oceanic aspects that involve into our current civilization. So we have about 540 years of human history, but Puerto Rico is more than that. Puerto Rico has over 150 millions in geology and tectonic transformation that evolved into what we have today. And nears maybe around 50 to 70 million years ago, Puerto Rico chose up from the sea and started to become what we have today, this beautiful island. So we are a 501c nonprofit organization. We also Puerto Rico 1101 nonprofit. So all the qualifications to get funding from government, local and federal government. We believe that by understanding Puerto Rico transformation through its natural history, Puerto Ricans and visitors will see the island as a point of pride, and Puerto Rico emerged from the sea. It has sustained a unique life that endures and adapts to the island's constant and dynamic geological process. In the last couple of years, we have developed different collaborative agreements, one with the Aguadilla municipality. That's very important because we have within the Archivo Histórico building, which was remodeled less than 5 years ago, we have two of the floors, the first and the second floors, and we're expecting access to another floor within the next 6 months. So we have right now we have near 6,000 square feet, and we're expected to have near 8,000 square feet available for the museum. Of course, the University of Puerto Rico, very specifically, Hernan has been critical in the analyzing all the inventory. It's amazing the amount of history that is available at the University of Puerto Rico that is not getting to be known all around for the people of Puerto Rico and the tourists and everyone that wants to know about the history of Puerto Rico. So we were really impressed the amount of fossils that we have available, and we'll have the opportunity to show them not only at the museum, but also at the activity that we're planning for the 20 to the 27th of October in a couple of weeks to help people understand more about the timeline of Puerto Rico and the history.
Our natural history and the recognition of the geology and paleontology of Boricua, geology and paleontology science for the first time in history.
One of the projects that Maribel was working with some of the board members is precisely the creation of Law 69, 2024, which was signed late in June and started July 1st of this year. That law is very important because it specifically addresses the importance of natural history in Puerto Rico and creates the month of October as the month of natural history for the archipelago of Puerto Rico. So we also have a collaborative agreement. The University of Puerto Rico also expand to the Red Sismica. In the business side, B Media is providing educational billboard and donations to facilitate the educational component of it. Tele11 is also, we have a collaborative agreement with Tele11, and that brings also Deborah Martorell into the equation. She recently did nice segments of the natural history of Puerto Rico with Jorge Vélez Huarbe and Hernan Santos, which will be will be shown a few weeks within the next 2 weeks in the Tele 11. So that's important because that's a combination of how we get people to understand our history. Centro de Conservación y Restauración, Casa Pueblo, which is a strong organization supporting and protecting the natural history of Puerto Rico and the areas of flora and fauna. And there's many other in process right now. Why do we need a natural history museum? Well, as we mentioned, there's natural history museums in any advanced state or country, and museums are a strong vehicle for collaboration between the industry, the academia, and the government. For us, what's important that we have components in the industry, in the academia, and the government that work together toward understanding each other participation and understanding how we can, build together pride into the history of Puerto Rico. Also, museums support national challenge, cultural issues, and it helps in the development of sustainability plans. As you know, Puerto Rico is an island. We will be affected by climate change. And in that sense, working together to find solution, museum could be that location where all of these efforts are taking into consideration. Mentioning that museums are economic and social transformation drivers is quite common. We all experience how important are the museums in, within the effort, we hired a company last year, Aldrich Pierce, which worked with us to develop a master plan and also to develop some conceptuals of the facilities and what will be the areas of utilization. So, this is an image, an isometric ground floor image of the galleries, the lobby, the research area, and multiple areas that we have. That's the first floor. The second floor has, also galleries, Tierra Dinámica, the venue areas, and terrace, and different areas that can be used to expand the cultural efforts of the museum. Here's how the facility looks right now. It's a really good looking facility, taken care. As I mentioned, this building was remodeled less than 5 years ago. It kind of slowed down its implementation for the museum because, we went through Hurricane Maria in 2017, and pretty much the recovery of Puerto Rico kind of slowed down every other project. But you can also see the lobby. It's a 24 feet high lobby, which allows for us to have fossils of adequate size that can be shown in the facility. The galleries, in general, we have 3 galleries. The Galería de Isla Viva, which target all the geological phenomena and unique characteristics of Puerto Rico. Then we have Tierra Dinámica, so how the earth and Puerto Rico was formed, how, all crystal rocks and minerals and all the tectonic events that form the Puerto Rico today. We also have a very interesting gallery, the Galería of Historia de Aguadilla, which very interesting because Aguadilla was a port or a location where a lot of transformative human occurred, and there were not only wars or combats that occurred or near, as many of them going to the USA or Mexico, other places, we needed to stop in Aguadilla to get water. So that caused situations where, you have England, you have British, and you have French trying to get water at the same time. You know what happened at those situations. So Aguadilla was also like a place where a lot of people stopped from Europe on its way to the USA. And that's, a lot everything started in Aguadilla. So there is a lot of history that we will be sharing about a lot of important people like Ana Roca Dupré, Agustin Stahl, a few more. So there's a lot of important people that either were grown or born in Aguadilla or were able to grow in Aguadilla through their life and contributed to the scientific, cultural, and different other aspects of the history of Puerto Rico. As part of this effort, as I mentioned, Law 69 is effective for the first time this year. So in this effort, we are working to have this activity that starts on the 19th with a gala or ceremony. And then on the 20th to the 27th, 26, 20 to 27, we have speakers, exhibitions, and different interactive activities where not only students, but also universities, publics, we have been getting a lot of interest from schools.
For the community.
So it's going to be a very interesting community engagement. So we have, as I mentioned, we had the support of Teleonce, Bimedia, the municipality of Aguadilla. Several companies have also contributed, La Guadillana, Maximo Energy, All Metal Pro. I mean, it's coming really, really nice along. And this is happening from the 19th to the 27th in the Archivo Histórico de Aguadilla. Some of the things that we are going to be sharing with the visitors are to understand our past. You know, our fascinating past goes over 150 million years. The geology and paleontology of Puerto Rico, there's going to be so many of the top scientists contributing. As a matter of fact, Jorge Velez Suarbe is traveling from California to Puerto Rico to be or one of the speakers and also participate in all of the events. So there is more than 200 million years of history of Puerto Rico. And it's important to understand how everything formed, how it developed under the sea, and eventually when it came out of the sea, how all this beautiful flora and fauna that we have today and how it's been transforming and will continue, and it will continue to transform. That would allow people to observe rocks, minerals, and fossils of million years that were found in Puerto Rico or in similar location that have the conditions that were in Puerto Rico at the time. Flora and fauna, we have a natural resources department. We have Para la Naturaleza participating. So they will be covering a lot of the current, past and current and flora and fauna, and how all of this, you know, we can do so much to protect it. The formation of Puerto Rico through all the different tectonic movement. As a matter of fact, we're still going through tectonic movement constantly. So there's a lot of earthquakes that continue to happen, and we have to adapt to all of them, just as, you know, whether it's part of climate change or it's a different aspect through the formation of hundreds of millions of years. The tectonic keeps moving, they keep making changes that will affect our future, our current, present, and future. And obviously, we also need to see into what has been the species that has been extincted and the ones that are currently at risk. So, you know, we definitely can do a lot to help. It's a little bit of rendering that we're doing for the lobby, and there's we don't want to show much more of it, as you know, we want people to come to the facility and see, but really want to do something that is special for the visitors. And one other thing is, you know, do you want to see fossil? Do you want to know more about the volcanics movement and effects of, you know, prior of Puerto Rico emergence? Do you want to know more of the underground rivers of Puerto Rico? Well, this is the place. We're also going to have some experts, speakers talking about caves, different zones of Puerto Rico, how they form, what was affected by volcanics, and how, you know, everything, and many of the findings through the last, I don't know, 200 years, maybe more, where there's evidence of how we got, you know, microorganisms from the Pacific, in the region of Sierra Bermeja. There's a lot, but I will let that
And why it's so important to study our marine fossils, to have data for our future. So every science is related, and geology and paleontology, I think, is going to be our future and very strong basis in those topics, because the climate change and everything between, and the people have to be part of our solution. So I see Natural Museum in Puerto Rico as an important to go to the people directly and be part of our solution, and solve a couple of problems of preservation and conservation of our species. So I don't know if
So Hernan Santos, one of his students is Dr. Jorge Vélez Huarbe. He did his studies at the University of Puerto Rico, Maya West, has been there for 30 some years. And I'm very glad to place some students out there and be part of this effort. And, he's willing to take any questions that the audience might have. I know we're waiting for Michael, and he might join us later. But we have a couple of questions out here, but before we get to that, right? And for Maribel and for Maximo, right? How do you start a museum, right? And I know you had kind of like the the interest from your kids and your passion and all sort of stuff, but just logistically, how do you come about and say like, hey, I'm gonna start a museum?
It's crazy, to tell you the truth. The initial effort that Maribel had in mind was to bring this to the government and have them, consider efforts into building a museum because of the importance of the museums. And if you want to have
preserve our
yes,
heritage.
and you want to have important cities, you want to grow your economic and your social aspect of it, you have to have museums. So initially we go to some of the government people, and we tell them, hey, listen, you want to build a better Puerto Rico, you had to include museums, you had to build museums. And the reaction that we have from one important executive was, okay, that sounds really good, but a lot of people come into this office and brings a lot of ideas, but no one are willing to do it. So are you willing to do it? So he put us against the wall, like, oh gosh, this is serious. And we responded automatically, yes, we're willing to help. And that's how it all started. So we started supporting this effort in Aguadilla. And right after the hurricane, everything kind of, stopped. We also left Puerto Rico. We went to the beautiful city of Orlando and lived there for a couple of years. But at some point, I came to my kids and I told them, I'm going back to Puerto Rico, so I'll see you like once a month. And I was just joking at the time. And all of them responded like, hi, you're going back to Puerto Rico? I want to go with you. So we all just, reorganized everything and moved back to Puerto Rico. And the first thing that came to our mind when we, moved into Puerto Rico was, we got to get back into this effort with the museum. So Maribel has been the driver, the heart of soul of this effort. And Hernan, myself, and Jorge Vélez Huarbe, Michael, and many others has been supporting this effort. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
the
much.
main reason, yes, and all of that. And the main reason is because Puerto Rico have to have a repository to have their and preserve their own heritage. And most of it is marine fossils. So we don't have T-Rex for now. And all the community is more driving to the species that can encounter in other places. But the thing is that to have a complete or be a complete scientist, you have to have your own discoveries in your land. And see, yes, yeah, for example, yeah, it's because my husband is the dugongo or the manatee, that Jorge was discovered a couple of years ago. is not in Puerto Rico, so it's in the Smithsonian. And they are taking care very good of those important pieces, and they are studying them, and they can show it to the other generations, and that's very good. But Puerto Rico have to travel to, discover that we have a treasure that for not have a place, we can't see or can be educated about that. And for that other reason, we can educate our children. So I think that Natural Museum in US and Dominican Republic, Mexico, we always see the whole family visiting those places and have a place that we can coexist and have our own heritage, only because we have to have children that can be scientists too, and have all those data and make the Puerto Rico better in preservation, conservation, and everything in between. And
Yes,
that's the main reason for
I mean, there's
the idea to fund a museum. Anyway, since 1825, the first person that made the proposal for a natural museum was Benigno Orbegoso, but he can't do it
they could not do it.
in those times because our political reason and cultural traditions, and every people hears out different ideas and driving in those paths. And in 1917, Agustin Stahl died, and he was the first person or the first scientist in history that really made the formal registration of collections, fossils, plants, and other kind of microorganisms in that moment. But he also can't found a
He couldn't
natural
found it,
museum.
yeah.
Couldn't, yes, made it. In 1925, the first natural museum was founded by the agriculture department in that time and last 50 years only. But in the investigation of those trajectories of the 50 years, is recorded that museum was very important to the population and increasing in tourism and elevate the economic in those times. So for other reason that is not related, that museum was closed. So now we have the opportunity to have our own museum, natural museum for the second time. And this time we have the government agency with the private sector and the community and the communities all together. And we think that having the three sectors united, we can have this museum to last for generations. So we need help to be this a real thing.
Back right to you, Judge, in case, but we have had some questions out here. So Robert Rosa asks, why haven't the Taíno remains been reburied?
The purpose of this Natural History Museum is to extend our history, pre-human history. There is always a component, like, human history that includes the Taínos, that we plan to also connect from the information that we have previously. But the main focus of this museum is in the geology and paleontology, pretty much the pre-human life, before we have human life in Puerto Rico, and how we connect that to the last 10,000 years of human life.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. And then Danny Vieira has another question. How does the current political situation with Act 60 and the fight to preserve public lands from privatization and development impact your conservation work?
Well, we don't involve in the politics of it. Our main purpose is to drive the education of our natural history. There is a component when it comes to conservation that is driven through the education to the publics, people, organization, Department of Education, things that we're doing in terms of educating people so they have more information available to making decisions. Yes. We don't get involved exactly into we don't get involved into the political aspect of it. So our purpose is to provide information and help understand the dynamics of the formation of Puerto Rico and how we can help preserve Puerto Rico as we face the new challenge. And that's where all of the scientists that have been working together can contribute information that will be useful for any future decisions that might arise.
Yes, and we also have other organizations that is working very hard for those objectives. And we think that we need to focus more in educate people because knowledge is powerful.
Yes.
And the basics of everything to empower the people and the community is
Through
knowledge
education.
and through education. So we want to go to the root.
Okay.
But in the previous topic, by just to let you know, in this first week in October, that the museum is going to be open. There is active participation of Para Naturaleza, which is an entity here that is involved. So there are actually a lot of different groups that are basically very happy that this museum exists, and they are cooperating with us, and they're going to be part of the week-long activity, and they're going to be presenting and having displays for the people who come to see.
Correct.
Perfect. Let's see if Michael, let's see if it works now.
Michael.
Saludos, ¿me escuchan?
Ahora sí.
Sí, por alguna razón estaba entrando a través de la cámara de Maribel. Sí, buenas tardes a todos. En efecto, Fernando y yo fuimos estudiantes en el colegio de Mayagüez y una de las formas en que nos conectamos es porque el programa de ciencias sociales, particular de sociología, de nuestro departamento en el recinto universitario de Mayagüez, desarrolló un área de investigación en medio ambiente y sociedad a través de Abidán Rodríguez, Manuel Valdés Piscini y otros colegas, ¿verdad?, que nos entrenaron, ¿no?, en cómo ver esa conexión que hay entre el medio ambiente, la conducta humana, política pública, problemas sociales y sobre todo buscar soluciones a los retos que enfrentamos. Desde que yo tuve conocimiento de la propuesta de Máximo y Maribel, me enamoré del proyecto. El hecho de que su hija en escuela elemental haya descubierto un fósil y despertara en ella todo este interés por la ciencia física, naturales, y que, ¿verdad?, la familia de Máximo y Maribel tuviera este sueño de establecer un museo de historia natural para que los niños de nuestras escuelas, los jóvenes puertorriqueños, pues puedan conectarse con su origen, ¿verdad? Típicamente reducimos la identidad puertorriqueña a un discurso bien colonial de indígenas que se dejaron colonizar, africanos que fueron esclavizados, europeos que dominaron la cultura, pero a través de la ciencia, sobre todo de los hallazgos del doctor Santos y el doctor Ubarbe, los niños van a poder comprender desde los elementos más básicos, la tierra, las rocas, los fósiles, el clima, ¿no? de dónde venimos y hacia dónde podemos ir, ¿verdad? Como individuos y también como nación. En efecto, tuve participación en lograr, ¿verdad? Establecer esas conexiones entre el gobierno municipal de Aguadilla y la Universidad de Puerto Rico, aunque ya Hernán, ¿verdad? Es de los padres fundadores de este proyecto también, pero lograr que se fuera articulando, ¿no? Y convirtiendo en realidad. Así que estamos muy contentos de poder tener esta primera exposición en el edificio del Archivo Histórico de la ciudad de Aguadilla. Y estoy encantado de estar con ustedes. Disculpen los problemas técnicos.
Gracias, Michael. And for our English-speaking participants, so Michael went back, sort of explaining the training that we receive with some of our faculty when we were undergrad, and kind of like looking at the interaction between society and the environment, and sort of when he heard about this project and sort of that it started from the discovery of a fossil. From one of the kids of the founders out here, he got very inspired out here, and sort of kind of like this idea that this museum in a sense challenges a little bit of the colonial history that has been put out there, that the history of Puerto Rico goes beyond that colonial history of sort of the Taínos and the African slaves and sort of sort of the current conditions that we have right now. So he's very excited to be part of this project, and is looking forward to continue to push it through out there in terms of that. So I'm going to go back to some of the questions out here, and Abby has one question, and perhaps anybody feel to chime in, including you, Dr. Santos. In light of the many historic storms and hurricanes that have hit Puerto Rico recently, how, if all, has the biodiversity of the island changed?
Let me explain first. Jorge is a paleontologist.
Okay.
I do paleontology and biostratigraphy. So basically, we do more geology, and when we see something that is 1 million years old, we go like, oh, that's too young. My rocks are usually between 83 and 75, 65 million years, or something in the Oligocene and Miocene that is still younger, but 27 million years old. But you see, this is the good thing about this museum. We have people here in Puerto Rico that do work with biodiversity, and the approaches that have been done, it shows us that they are really interested in having this museum and what it can represent for them as another place to basically have a backup or work, probably exhibitions. So we are open. I mean, there is so much that needs to be done. So I don't have a specific answer of how much the biodiversity changed because of the storm. I can tell you what I know about my yard. I all the time, I have snakes that are boa constrictor that are not from Puerto Rico. We have the iguanas that are everywhere. They've been introduced. We have a little frog that is not from Puerto Rico. So yes, we have a lot of impact. Right now at the university here in Puerto Rico, we have a professor who is doing research with this introduced boa, and a Joglar, who is in the UPR Rio Piedras, has been working with other, in this case, amphibian that's being introduced. And he mentioned that not only he's interested in the museum, he's going to be, the week that the museum is going to be open, he's going to be here, he's going to have talks, and he's going to have a presentation. So you see, these are questions that having the museum, we have a place that people can meet, people can actually discuss and maybe start research groups. So I think that this is actually more of a starting than answering question.
Perfect. Thank you, Hernan. And Jorge, let's see if we can get back to you.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, like, in terms of like the impact of hurricanes and storms, so it certainly has shape, and we also have to think about storms, not necessarily hurricanes, but storms as being in part responsible for some of the flora and fauna in the island. So some species presumably arrived to Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, floating on gigantic masses of down trees and vegetation that were the result of huge storms particularly in South America, and these plant islands, they floated out to sea. And this is something that still happens
today. Yeah.
Oh, you're freeze again. Ah, it's the most important part.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was interesting in terms of, you know,
Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's actually happening right now.
and that's been proposed. Huh?
Yeah, you have
Go
to
ahead.
repeat the statement because
we lost the last
you.
we lost the last 20 seconds.
Yes.
Now we lost them completely. But it was quite interesting because right now we are facing more hurricanes, more threats with the climate change, and in that sense, it's gonna be impacting biodiversity. You know, plants, flora, fauna. So it's all happening natural through millions of years of events, not only tectonics but also hurricanes. So it is interesting how we need to understand more about it, and that's the purpose of the museum. You know, there's so many questions out there, and that's a place where the academia and the government and the
And this is how geology and paleontology connected to the past, present, and future.
Yes.
It's very important and critical science to develop, proper, yeah, as I said, in Puerto Rico. So we need more scientists and more people very interested in develop Puerto Rico as a central focus in some or center certain purposes for our existence and to assure our 100 plus 35 size in our archipelago, because we have islands, some small islands and part of us. So we are connected in every way. Hernan is connected or?
I am. Something very important that I'm sorry I missed the first 10 minutes of the meeting, so I don't know if it was discussed already, but there is still a very important part that need to be mentioned. As part of an education committee here in Mayagüez, I actually was able to look at every single science book of both public and private schools in Puerto Rico. And we went from first grade all the way to high school. And we were really impressed by the amount of paleontology, geology, environmental science that was in every book. I mean, even from the first grade all the way to high school, you will have a lot of discussion about volcanism, tectonics, contamination, groundwater, the rock cycles. So basically, there was geology everywhere from every single grade. However, there's only one department of geology in Puerto Rico. It's at the Mayagüez campus. And although we have in the past several initiatives funded by NSF, funded by NASA, we were reaching only a certain amount of school teachers. The ones that we actually were able to put together and give a workshop for them, so they not only workshop, I actually invested $57,000 in samples for schools in the west coast of Puerto Rico. So not only they were able to talk about rocks, but they were able to show the rocks to the students. But that was only in the west coast of Puerto Rico. And I'm sorry to say, most of those professors that were involved are already retired. So right now we have basically very similar books to the books that you have in the States that talk about geology everywhere, both in public and private schools, but there is no place, sorry, there is no place in Puerto Rico where they can go like a museum. Like, for example, if you are in Washington or you're in Colorado and you discuss this, maybe you can take the students to see the rocks, minerals, and fossils in the museum. We don't have that opportunity in Puerto Rico. If I want to show my kids about dinosaurs, I have to fly to New York or to the Smithsonian or to other place for them to see, because there is no place like that. If I want to talk even about the geology of Puerto Rico, in schools, when I go to schools here, like for example, not so far ago, I went to Caguas, that is in the middle, at the other side of the island, the middle part of the island. And the students were really eager to know about it. I took with me several of the students that are also working with the museum and samples, and we took the samples. They were just crazy about it. And they were so happy to be able to see the different fossils that we have in Puerto Rico. But we cannot reach all the schools by just visiting them. If there is a museum and this museum have a display that shows the fossils, have the rocks, show the rocks of Puerto Rico, talk about tectonics, that will be great, because then that will be a way also to help the education of geology, paleontology, and natural history of Puerto Rico, but also they will be able to see the samples, both from Puerto Rico and others from other parts of the world. Not only Puerto Rico will have displays of trilobites, and Puerto Rico didn't exist by the Paleozoic time. So that will be a very important role of this museum. There's not such a thing in Puerto Rico at this moment. No museum at all.
Thank you so much. Before we get to your response, Maribel, I think Sarah had a question to our presenters.
Yeah, saludos a todos. Yeah, no, I wanted to kind of like build on what we were discussing with the impact on like the ecology and biodiversity of Puerto Rico when it comes to like major extreme weather events. So I was wondering a couple of things. So first off, if you like came across, or you are involved at any extent with like nature-based solutions that can actually also, in a sense, provide the natural solutions to these extreme weather events. I'm thinking about like the mangroves, and like studies that have proven that to be like a really good conservation / adaptation option when it comes to like extreme weather events resiliency. But I was also curious to learn more about like if you are aware of any study that actually kind of like traced back to Hurricane Maria and the impact that it had, because I remember that like a similar study was done with Hurricane Sandy in New York, where scientists basically looked at how the marine soil changed, and so the biodiversity and the marine ecology changed after Sandy. So I was wondering if you were aware of any study that was done post Maria on a similar fashion.
I know that there is a group here in the Marine Science Department, but also in the engineering faculty. They have a group that is working with how you can actually prevent some of the damage in a natural way. But I will need to look more into it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And kind of like a follow-up, and let me see if Danny's still here. Let me see. Oh, Danny left. But one of the things, obviously, so you're gonna have the first exhibition in the next couple of weeks, right? So when you foresee that you're gonna have the full-fledged museum up and running?
We expect it to be fully in less than 2 years. We expect to next summer start some of the galleries. So we're moving really fast with this effort. We got some local funding, municipality funding, other private funding too. And so it's moving along really nice. And the amount of people that are getting involved, it will help us to build this coalition of efforts that would allow for many of those questions that some of the participants have to be answered. I'm sure there's people in Puerto Rico that can answer those questions. I'm sure there's someone in Puerto Rico that is working with similar projects. The idea of building a museum is to have this local place where everyone can connect and find the information that they're looking for and start collaborating and moving forward. Para Naturaleza has ton of information about some of the questions that were discussed today. Department of Natural Resources. In Mayagüez, you have CARICU, you have different organizations, Servicio Forestal. So the idea is that many of them are working like in their own, and some of the information is not available to maybe the University of Mayagüez, but some of the information that is available by the university might not be available, or they might be working in similar effort without really collaborating. So, the idea of the museum is to have this place where everyone can have an opinion, everyone can collaborate, and everyone can identify who's the scientist, who's the organization that is deeply working in these efforts and understanding not only Puerto Rico, how it was built, transformed, but also how it will continue to transform, what can we do to support on those areas that people are concerned.
Well, thank you for that. And one of the big things also is, this has been fascinating, really applaud your efforts, that you're doing. But for the students and the audience that are here today, and the ones that probably going to see this, because we're recording and it's going to be available, what are other ways, obviously, donations are always important, but what are other ways that we can help you out from this side of the ocean to make sure that this really gets going and is sustained throughout the years, and that we can make this, continue to be such an important initiative?
Well, there's Orlando is one very important, Florida as for Hispanic, but at the same time, there's Chicago and other areas that you probably connect to. So being able to connect to other Hispanic communities in USA, not only in USA, but other places like Mexico, Latin America is also helpful. So of course, funding is great. We've been expanding to apply for more funding, federal funding, local funding, private funding. There is a lot of scientists out there in the US. We are collaborating now with Ciencia Puerto Rico, which there's so many professionals that are together trying to communicate science. And I think that is of value, because there's a lot of scientists out there doing work. Many of them are doing work related to Puerto Rico, and that information is not getting to be known by everyone in Puerto Rico and in the US. So there's many ways I could think about getting involved with other organizations that also has can collaborate with this effort. But in general, I would say that the more people that knows about this effort, the more people that will find how to support and how to collaborate, and who else is a contact that can get involved in this project.
Perfect, thank you. And I will encourage the members of the audience, if you have any questions, please do type them in. And so with that, we're gonna start wrapping up in terms of the presentation. But one of the questions, either Michael, Jorge, Hernan, all those type of things, one of the things, we always struggle is like, so we have kind of like a social scientist and paleontologist, all those type of things, how had, and community members and all that type of thing, how's that interaction has been, and sort of how we start shifting kind of like this idea of what is the role of universities, especially educating the public and the next generation.
Is that a question?
Yeah, I've got like, yeah, putting out there, right? You know, I think, you know, one of the things is like, you know, still people see kind of like the academy as just doing you know, studies for academicians out there. But, you know, I think this is a neat idea because you're trying to expand that knowledge to the general public out there. And you know, so far, you know, kind of like your involvement, how that's been that experience. And how can we, you know, kind of like promote a little bit more of that engagement, especially when we have different roles. I think this is a very diverse group of people out here.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
because I think a nonprofit or a museum is like a business, so it's like the same language. And I think we have to work together with different talents, different key points of objectives, and each one of us has a mission in this project. So our mission is develop the project, and marketing and everything is connected to help the scientists make this effort real. And I think you can.
Yeah. Well, I think I could expand a little bit about Maribel's comments. It's very important that the industry, the entrepreneurship get involved, not only because they can support economically, but also because they bring an experience. There's a lot of talent out there, and when it comes into the academia, but there's an experience into building, into putting things together and making it work that the industry has. There's obviously a regulatory, governmental aspect of it. There is always an academia aspect of it. So I think that the industry or the entrepreneurship, what we have experienced in the last 2 years is precisely how we put together all of this effort and say, well, this is a great thing, but this represents something that we got to build up upon. This is something that is more important because it will support the next level of those efforts. So, you know, putting the infrastructure into a multi-level effort that helps, you know, like she said, it's like building a business, but there is no profit into this business. It's all about helping the community and making sure that everyone collaborate into, you know, into a positive way, because we know we're going to face a lot of not negativity, but there's going to be people that saying, okay, that has been tried before and it hasn't worked. Or maybe, I don't know, I cannot see myself working with academia. This is the experience that we had. And there is people that are in the government that don't have a good relationship with academia or in the academia with the government. And we play like a role that helps everything communicate, you know, finds the proper actions that will make things happen. So in less than 2 years that we started to work, make this effort, we not just only raise the economics for this part of this effort, but also we got laws approved. We got a lot of people doing a lot of in-kind work. We got a lot of organizations joining or collaborating with us. We got government facilitating facilities and you know and budgeting for maintaining the facilities. It's so many things happening in such a short time. So we are like how would we say, we're the connectors. We are helping this happen.
Or
Yes.
the vehicle for make this real.
Yes,
So,
and also academically, the amount of knowledge these professors and this doctor has is incredible. But we need to, sometimes my job is to, okay, how do we say it in rice and beans? Because everyone needs to understand it in a simple perspective, and then we move to the more, you know, scientific perspective. And that's one of our goals. You know, Maribel and I have been putting together some of this information in a way that is understandable. And we want, like once we want to have education to the students and to the, you know, to the Department of Education, where they can really understand geology in its basics. And in a way that they can put it together and understand how Puerto Rico was formed, what is our timeline, what happened 25 million years ago, what happened in 150, 75 million years ago, well, you know, the different stages, and how all of that come together to to be the Puerto Rico that we have today. You know, how we got formed and how it's going to continue to evolve. So it is sometimes it's complicated, but sometimes it's just making it simple, making it happen.
So I want to give this time to any final thoughts from either Dr. Santos, Dr. Perez Warbe, or Dr. Gonzalez. Anything you want to add? Anyone you want to share?
So I'll start. I think this is it's the museum. It's a great opportunity of passing on a lot of information that many times is just kind of locked up in books or on the scientific literature, to pass on that information to people that actually may care a little bit more, particularly the residents of Puerto Rico, because we, every single time we learn more about the history of the island, we understand where we are, how we got there, where we're going, and it's just to me it's enlightening learning every little tidbits of new information every time there's a new scientific publication related to the natural history of the island. We are constantly learning, and a lot of times science moves very fast. So having a museum is a good way of showing some of the basics, but also like try to have people to be as up to date as possible with the latest discoveries related to the natural history of the island, and how that may affect us, how things have changed from a deep time perspective, particularly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos, Dr. Gonzalez.
Mira, yo lo que puedo, I'm sorry, what I can add to this is we are organizing now this week-long activity in October, and it shows you already an example of what this museum will be able to do. Through that week, we are going to have professors actually presenting information about coquí. Basically, this person is going to be talking about the different kind of coquí that we have in Puerto Rico, the Pterodactylus. And we are going to talk about the geology of Puerto Rico, paleontology of Puerto Rico. It's very rare. Usually I go to meetings everywhere, GSA, AGU, and I go, I don't know, different meetings, Denver, Seattle, Oregon, Arizona, New Mexico. And every meeting that I go, I have more geologists and we talk about geology. But it's very different to be in a place and being able to interact with scientists from other research areas that, although they are in Puerto Rico, we don't see each other frequently. So the museum will be like a point to have the meeting with all these scientists that work in Puerto Rico who are doing excellent research, and to be able to share our time, our knowledge. At this moment, that's not occurring either. So just maybe a few times, but having a place that the different scientists from biology, geology, even social science and history also, because we're going to have some displays of history, will be fantastic. I think this is a fantastic idea. I would like to thank Maribel and thank Maximo, because they're really the stronghold of this idea from the beginning. But it's going to be very good for Puerto Rico. So thanks, and I hope that everything goes really well.
Thank you, Dr. Renan, for that words, for those words. And yes, Puerto Rico can be an operational field for the other museums in US and Mexico and the island of Caribbean that have also natural museums like Cuba, Jamaica, and Britannic Island, and South America. And those museums that have part of our species, history, or heritage, can collaborate together and share data and other stuff that Hernan and also other scientists need to grow here in our island.
So Dr. Gonzalez, I don't know if you have, Michael, you have any last words out here? If not, one of the questions or the comments that we have.
Sí, Fernando, ¿me escuchas?
Sí, te escucho. Dale, Michael.
Nada, el museo, it's going to be a hub. So thank you a lot for including us in your university hub and linking us together. The Hispanic community in Florida, it's very nearby. We feel that we are part of the same community in the Caribbean. So I hope we can keep collaborating together. Thanks a lot.
No, absolutely. And one of the comments that we have, if anybody that is listening or will listen to, what is the best way to get involved? If they want to work with the museum or any of the faculty members, what would be the best way to reach you? Would it be the website? You let me know.
We have Facebook. We have pretty much all the social media. Everything is linked into MHNPR, Museo de Historia Natural Puerto Rico. So MHNPR. So you can look at in our, or you can send just an email to info@mhapr.org.
Oh, yes, because there is a mistake.
There's a mistake. It says MHR.com, but it's org.
It's .org, yes. So
Yes,
the one with the organizational type of thing. But no, I have to say, I'm glad that we were able to give this space, not only for the ones that attended today, we're recording this as well, so more people get involved in this effort. I think I'm very excited about the effort. It tells you kind of like the power of connections and also observe, how can we bring science to people and understand our history a little bit better. And that, especially for the people of Puerto Rico, that they don't have to go to other places to understand their own history on the island out there. In terms of that, I want to kind of like read some of the comments out there, and I'll do it in Spanish because they were in Spanish. But gracias a todos por compartir. Es un excelente esfuerzo para avanzar la educación en Puerto Rico. That was from Diego Victoria. And to close it up, one of our interns, Abby English, said, gracias. Me interesa en ecología porque Puerto Rico es muy especial. And I couldn't agree more that Puerto Rico is very special, that we have a lot of talent, a lot of history. And when we put our heads together and we work together, this is sort of the outcome that we get. So I want to thank everybody and thank you everybody for their efforts, their collaborations, for being here. And we look forward to actually going to Puerto Rico and get a chance to see the exhibition, bring our students, and in the capacity that we can, we'll continue to support and extend the communication out there in terms of that. So again, if you want to be part of this, the information is out there. It's mhnpr.org. They have a Facebook page, they have an Instagram account, they have an X account, and they have a LinkedIn account. So make sure that you check them out. And thank you so much as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month here at UCF. So we look forward out here. So make sure that we continue the conversation. So thank you again, everybody, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yes, well, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice being able to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.